university itself. If that's the case, then it's really good. Then another thing is usually the PIs, when they look for a candidate, they already publicize that we are looking for, they publicize the profile of the candidate they're looking for. So for example, a PI might say that I need, we are looking for a guy who is who knows molecular biology, he knows programming techniques, and etc. etc. So a lot of things he might list, and you might not fit the whole category, but you still can apply. But if you really fit many more things than another candidate, then you have more chance. So most often, many of these techniques might not be, or many of these skills might not be, you might not be trained in those techniques or in those skills, because that was simply not in the syllabus. So in the era of internet, we don't have to rely on the syllabus itself. I don't think the syllabus will be outdated soon. I guess it's just be online learning. So it's not just saying that there are information out in the internet. There are actually easy options on the internet for off the syllabus learning. Harvard X. I think you all should search after this webinar for Harvard X, as I spelled it here. It's online free courses from Harvard University. So you are getting taught by top professors all over the world about many things. There are thousands of free courses with assignments and everything. You can learn it on your own pace. You don't have to sit for 2 hours every day or something like that. You can choose your time, and you can learn, and you can do the assignments to get yourself assessed during the course. And also, if you want a certificate for that course, you can, of course, pay $50 or something, as they mention, and then you can also get a certificate that you completed a course on Harvard X, which should be valuable in my opinion. And there are private companies called Coursera, Datacamp, etc., which they offer courses online for a fee. And then there is of course, many of you might already know Khan Academy. There's so much videos where online tutorials where you can actually help yourself with learning off syllabus topics. For example, I would say from my experience, I did not have a very complete course on R, or never had to practice it during my master's or bachelor's, but I need it now because we have bioinformatics experiments which need bioinformatics to analyze them. And now I have to learn R for my lab, because nobody in the lab doesn't know anything in R, or R is a programming language, or Python. So I am now learning R from Harvard X, which is really helping me in doing my work here. So try and explore these websites, as I mentioned. Thank you. And so during these processes, your internships, your reading, and everything, you are going to have an idea of what you want, what you like, or what you want to do. So what I would say is, what I would say is you should make a list of groups, research labs or research groups you would like to join, because you will be reading papers during your internships. You will be reading papers later. Also, you have now learned how to read papers. So you know that there are some exciting works going on in all over the world. And you, for example, you came across a good paper, you're really interested in that kind of work, then just go for the corresponding authors on the paper. The corresponding authors are the authors usually coming in the last, and with an asterisk, and it will be, the asterisk will be explained in the index later as corresponding authors. So those are the authors who had the idea of these experiments described in the article, or this work in the article, or this project, and then they are the host, they are the main labs who participated in this work. So you should contact them for that's how you can find a lab. That's one way. And the another way will be to go to the department or institute websites. Also, for some topics, there are forums and blogs. For example, in NMR, in macrobiomolecule NMR, there are forums, very active forums, where people discuss their daily experiments and stuff, or problems and stuff. And also, there are even advertisements for PhD positions coming up in these forums. So if you are specifically interested in some topics and there is an active forum, do follow it. Also, you can you already have direct contacts now, because during your internship you're networking with a lot of people, as I said before, and then you know where are some labs where some exciting works are going on which you're interested. So from these things you have to make a list which would help you to filter which labs to apply at the end of your master's. And you can evaluate the lab, like whether this lab is good or whether this PI is really good. So you can, obviously the best thing to look at is their publication. If the original publication, there are original publications from their lab. Some labs are just usually collaborating with a lot of people because they are very good at some superior technique, some advanced technique. So every groups in the all over the world will collaborate with them to get results from that technique. So these guys will be in many papers, in many major papers, but they usually are not the corresponding others. The idea of that work or project would be coming from some other labs. So I would say just looking at the publication or the journal is not good enough. You have to know whether these labs have produced their own work with their PIs as the corresponding authors in the articles. Now, if you all went through this, now then you have to apply for a PhD in India. There are a lot of opportunities. I would say in this point that it doesn't matter. It does not matter if you really are doing good science and you are able to communicate it well by publishing, of course, then it doesn't matter where you do your PhD or where you do your science. But of course, when you there are different merits and demerits doing in India or doing abroad, Europe, or doing in US. In India, of course, the easiest way to get a PhD is always secure your own funding. For example, if you write CSIR and you get a JRF rank, then you have already secured funding. Now the PI has just to decide based on your merits whether you can be in his lab or not, because he doesn't have to think about funding you. He doesn't have to put money from his own grant to pay you during PhD. So prepare for the exams during your bachelor's, third year or fourth year, and write it before fifth year, and so that write it before ending master's, so that right after the master's you are able to apply. You have the results in hand of the CSIR exam. Contact the PIs, and also there are portals. For example, ICERs, they have their own application programs or portals where you can apply, and then later after the process you can choose the PI or the PI chooses you or something like that. There are also integrated PhD which is available in all the ICERs, as I understand, and many other institutes. But there is a problem with integrated PhD in some ICERs. I'm not sure how many ICERs are already following this method, where you are not able to get a master's if you stop in between. So integrated PhD works like you have a period where you do your master's part, courses part, and then you straight go into the PhD. So after the master's, there is a comprehensive exam or evaluation, then you are taken directly for the PhD. But you don't have to appear for another exam or something like that, another funding or something like that. You're already in the PhD program. And you get paid during the master's part also. So this is a very lucrative offer when you look from outside, but some ICERs, if you don't like at the end after the master's part, you don't want to do PhD there, you want to do elsewhere, and you can't quit, because when you quit, you don't even get a master's certificate. Then that's not very good situation. So keep an eye on, just ask whether, or scroll through the websites to know whether they will allow you to leave after the master's part if you want to leave when you do integrated PhD. So in Europe, you have a lot of websites where EU-funded projects are publicized, and important one is Euraccess. Euraccess, all the EU-funded, European Union-funded projects are available on Euraccess. And since there are a lot of national, local funding bodies in Europe, many advertisements will not come on Euraccess. The projects funded by local bodies will appear only in individual university job openings. So you have to go to individual university websites and look for job openings. So PhD is sometimes considered as a job in Europe, not just a studentship as in India or US. So they list the vacancies for PhD in the job openings or the vacancies tab in the websites. So you can look there. And also applying directly to the PI is still the best option, I would say, in Europe, because you can directly contact the PI if of the interested lab, and then, as I said in the internship, write a good email. But now you're already at the end of the master's, and you are not just writing after reading the research profile. You should write the email after reading papers, so that you have a profound idea of what is going on there and what you're going to tell him. And if he likes the email and then he looks through your CV and motivation letter, and if he's interested, he will call you for an interview on Skype or an online interview, or sometimes on-spot interview, where you will be paid to go there and attend the interview. So after that, you're through for your PhD. And also there are a few portals. These are consortiums, like some universities and institutes, they collaborate together to take PhD students. So they are portals like ICERs do. There is a program for PhD intake, and every student applies into the program, and they screen and then take the PA, and students choose each other after the interviews. This there are portals like DAD, ETH, IMPRS, DKF. There are a lot of things. I think you may find it on online, and you can find it online, of course. There is something I would like to notify you, because in some countries, like especially in UK, there could be funding issues. So when you see the offer letter, there will be a lot of money on the offer letter, and you'll see, yeah, it's enough to, you will already Google what is the living expense in London. Okay, and the London living expense is far below what I get, so I can live there. Okay, and then yeah, I can maybe even send money home. But the tax is a lot bigger issue in Europe than India. So keep an eye on your offer letter, and maybe ask the PI or the members from the lab exactly how much you will get in hand, so that you can support yourself in the country where you're doing your PhD. Also, for the application in the US, we have ICER TVM alumni is maintaining their website, and they have a lot of information out there. I will provide the links to you, because I'm not going to tell everything, because there's a lot of preparation you have to do for application to US. You have to write GRE and TOEFL, and most application deadlines are during November and December. So you have to register for GRE in June or July, reserve a seat for GRE and TOEFL, write and get write GRE and TOEFL before September 15th, I would say, and then you can prepare for the applications in the US. At least 2 good references are always asked in US universities, so internships come in handy here. You can write an email to the PI whom you did an internship with, asking for a reference, and he would be more than happy, in most cases, to help you with a reference. A well-written motivation letter, a decent mark list, and decent scores in GRE are usually enough for, yeah, of course, it differs from university to university in US. And there are often, there are no interviews in US applications. So GRE, and I'll make a quick note on GRE. You first buy an official guide for GRE, and then also for TOEFL. Complete that guide. It's just a matter of 1 or 2 days.
I think your time is running out, so you need to.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe we can allow some time for the attendees to ask questions.
Okay. So go for the official guides and do a mock test. Type mock test GRE on Google, and you'll find out. Use Magoosh app. I will send you the slides, or I will share you this information I'm just going through. So last thing I would want to say is, if you are already at the end of your master's and you don't see an option, you haven't done any internship or so, don't worry at all. You still have a lot of options. Prepare for all the competitive exams like CSIR and stuff. Apply anyway in India, especially because in India, it's not internship a lot. If you have CSIR funding, then most PIs would be happy to take you if you have enough scientific acumen, I would say. And otherwise, you can go for a JRF if you have, especially if you have a net, then you can get paid for a JRF position. For 1 year, you do a project assistantship, and then you can apply for PhD. Otherwise, you can go for a job in a relevant industry, which is close to the field you want to go into the research later, and then you can gain experience by that. Otherwise, you can go for a second master's if you think your master's is not good enough to get your PhD, then you can also learn more and understand more